What 5 hikers found hidden inside the walls of the Grand Canyon had been sealed away for over 3,000 years, and when they touched the box that was never meant to be opened, they unleashed a mystery that rewrote history. This is a story that archaeologists still can't fully explain. In the summer of 2019, 5 friends set out on a backcountry trek through one of the most remote sections of the Grand Canyon. Leading the group was Daniel Corrigan, a 34-year-old wilderness guide from Flagstaff who had hiked the canyon more than 60 times. With him were Sophia Reyes, a geology graduate student whose camera never left her hands, Marcus Webb, a history teacher from Phoenix obsessed with indigenous cultures, Priya Nair, an ER nurse who hiked to decompress after brutal hospital shifts, and Theo Gallagher, the group's wildcard, the one most likely to wander off trail chasing something that caught his eye. That habit of wandering would change everything. On the morning of day 3, the group was navigating a narrow corridor between 2 massive sandstone walls. The canyon was quiet, almost too quiet, and then the ground shook. It started as a low rumble, deep, guttural, like thunder rolling underground. Before anyone could react, the cliff face 40 feet to their left let out a deafening crack. A section of rock the size of a school bus broke away and crashed to the canyon floor. Dust and debris washed over them like a wave. For 30 seconds, no one moved. Then the dust began to settle, and through the haze, Sophia saw something that made her blood run cold. Where solid rock had stood for millennia, there was now a gaping hole, a dark, jagged opening roughly 10 feet wide. The collapsed rock hadn't just fallen, it had revealed something behind it. A cave. Sophia aimed her flashlight into the darkness. The beam landed on a smooth stone wall 15 feet inside, and on that wall were paintings, hundreds of them. Figures in red and white ochre dancing, hunting, gathered around fires. Animals rendered with impossible precision. Geometric patterns spiraling outward like galaxies. And dominating the back wall, a massive figure with outstretched arms standing before a mountain split in 2, with light pouring from the crack. Marcus was shaking. Not from fear, from awe. "These are pre-Puebloan," he whispered, his voice cracking. "Maybe older, maybe much older. I've never seen anything like this." The floor was littered with artifacts, clay pots still intact, stone tools laid out in deliberate arrangements, bone needles, woven textile fragments that crumbled at the edges but held their shape in the center. And then Theo called out from the far corner, "Guys, you need to come see this?" What he found sitting on a carved stone shelf would set off a chain of events none of them could have predicted. But real quick, if you love mysteries like this, hit subscribe now. Trust me. You're going to want to hear what happens next. Theo was kneeling beside a natural stone shelf. Sitting on it, perfectly centered, was a small box carved from obsidian. Covered in symbols, none of them could read. The craftsmanship was extraordinary. This was not a casual object. "Should we open it?" Theo asked. "Absolutely not," Marcus said firmly. "We shouldn't even be touching anything. This is a sacred site." "Marcus is right," Daniel said. "We document everything and contact the Park Service." But Theo had already lifted the box, and the moment he did, the stone shelf crumbled beneath it. A grinding sound echoed through the cave. Dust rained from the ceiling. "Put it back," Marcus shouted. "The shelf broke. I can't. We need to leave." "Now," Priya said in her calm, clinical ER voice. "This cave is not stable." They moved quickly toward the entrance. Outside, Marcus turned on Theo, jaw tight. "That's not ours. That belongs to the people who built this place. Their descendants." The shelf broke. "Marcus, what was I supposed to do?" "Leave it." "That's exactly what you should have done." The tension was thick. This wasn't just about a box. It was about respect, about who had the right to touch something sacred. When they reached the ranger station and showed the box to the senior ranger on duty, a Navajo woman named Lieutenant Catherine Whitehorse, the look on her face told them everything. This was something that was never supposed to be found. Within 48 hours, the site was locked down. A team of archaeologists, geologists, and tribal cultural advisors descended on the area. The lead archaeologist, Dr. Elena Vasquez from the University of Arizona, stood in silence for 10 minutes when she first entered the cave. "This changes everything we thought we knew," she said. Carbon dating placed the artifacts at roughly 1200 BCE, over 3,000 years old. The wall paintings depicted a creation story told in sequence, panel by panel, like frames of a film. And at the center of every panel was the same symbol carved on the box. Inside the box, wrapped in preserved animal hide, was a thin stone tablet. Carved into it was a map, depicting the canyon system in extraordinary detail, with landmarks Dr. Vasquez matched to actual geography using satellite imagery. At the map's end, deep within the most inaccessible section of the inner canyon, was the same symbol from the cave walls, the figure with outstretched arms, the mountain split in two. There was something else out there, and what they found there raised a question that still hasn't been answered. The expedition required joint approval from the Park Service, the university, and, most importantly, the Havasupai Tribal Council. 2 tribal elders accompanied the team. Nothing would be removed, nothing disturbed without consultation. After a 3-day trek into the inner canyon, rappelling down sheer cliffs and navigating slot canyons that didn't appear on any modern map, they reached a dead end, a solid sandstone wall. It was Sophia who noticed it, a horizontal seam in the rock. "This isn't natural," she said. "This was sealed, deliberately." She was right. What looked like a natural cliff was a constructed barrier, stones fitted so precisely they were indistinguishable from the canyon wall. Someone had built a door designed to disappear. When they finally broke through and shone their lights inside, silence. Then Dr. Vasquez whispered, "This is impossible." A massive underground chamber, 50-foot ceiling supported by carved stone columns, hundreds of artifacts, ceramic vessels with pigments still holding their color, carved stone figures, woven baskets containing preserved seeds, tools made from jade and copper that showed sophisticated smelting techniques. At the center, on a raised stone platform, sat a carved altar. Behind it, a vein of crystallized quartz embedded in the rock wall caught their flashlights and scattered them across the chamber in 1,000 points of light, like standing inside a constellation. One of the tribal elders, Thomas Siniela, lowered himself to one knee. Tears streamed down his face. "My grandmother told me stories about this place," he said quietly. "We thought they were just stories. This is the heart of the canyon, where our ancestors spoke to the Creator." But behind the altar, Dr. Vasquez found one more room, and what was inside defied explanation. A smaller chamber, undecorated, raw. On a single stone pedestal sat another obsidian box, identical to the first. Inside was another tablet. But this one didn't contain a map. It contained symbols Dr. Vasquez had never encountered in 20 years of research. When mathematicians at MIT later analyzed the patterns, they discovered something chilling. The symbols followed a recursive fractal structure, a mathematical framework not formally described by Western science until the 20th century, carved into stone 3,000 years ago. "I don't know who made this, Doctor," Vasquez said, sitting on the chamber floor. "And I don't know how they knew what they knew." The tribal council decided the second tablet would remain in the temple. The chamber was resealed. Its location has never been publicly disclosed. The original cave was permanently sealed to prevent looting and damage. Photographs and 3D scans were displayed at the Museum of Northern Arizona, drawing over 400,000 visitors in the first year. Marcus returned to his classroom with a story his students would never forget. Sophia completed her doctoral dissertation on the cave's preservation. Priya told a reporter the experience changed how she thought about time, and Theo publicly apologized for removing the artifact. He worked with the tribal council on cultural preservation programs, carrying guilt he never fully shed. But Thomas Siniela told him something he'd remember forever. The canyon chose to open. The cliff fell. You were there, maybe you were supposed to be? Daniel Corrigan still hikes the Grand Canyon, but every cliff face, every shadow, every crack in the rock, he can't stop wondering what's behind it. Less than 5% of the Grand Canyon's backcountry has been surveyed for archaeological sites. What else is buried in the oldest rocks in North America, waiting for a cliff to fall or a curious hiker to wander just a little too far off the trail? Drop a comment. What do you think was on that second tablet? I read every single one. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss next week's story, because it's even more unbelievable than this one. I'll see you then.